Hello guys, this is Jacob and welcome to Calculus A. Today we are doing limits involving absolute numbers. Okay, my laptop is making some weird noise. I hope it's not disturbing the video. Okay, let's get started. So, as you can see, the red color is for the topic we are doing today. So the other three have their own videos. So first we have to revise the limit there. If they ask you to determine the limit of this absolute number, but I think I have an easier way. Remember, if they ask me to determine the limit of x approaches 1 from the negative side of this is what you're going to do. If your x is on the negative side of 1, which means it's 0 or negative, so which means this whole thing inside your bracket will be negative. But I'll show you quick. I'll get back to that. So which means you're going to change that absolute number to negative x minus 1 like that. But if they said x approaches 1 from the positive side of this, now you're going to change that to positive. This will be positive x minus 1. Then here you just substitute that 1. So 1 minus 1, we can see it's 0. Even here 1 minus 1, it's 0. So if this is the same as the left hand side and right hand side limits, if they are equal, then it means the limit of that is 0. If these two are equal, then it means this is what it basically means. It means the limit of this is 0. But what I want you to understand is the absolute terms. So let's start. If I have limit x approaches 2 of, let's say, x minus 2, if they say from the negative side, then your answer will be negative x minus 2, which means that whole thing inside your absolute brackets will be negative. This is don't cram it, because there is difference between this and this. I'll show you. If I have 2 minus x, this time the answer is positive, but I'll explain it just now. The answer this time is positive, because this is what you're going to do. If they say x approaches 2 from the negative, you know the numbers on the negative side of on the left hand side of 2, it's smaller than 2. So if you substitute, let's say 1 minus 2, you see your answer is negative. So that's why we say that whole thing it's negative. Even here the same thing, the numbers on the left side of 2 is smaller than 2. So if I substitute 1 on, okay, sorry for this mistake, if I substitute 1 on this equation, what do you get? You get 2 minus 1, which is positive. So that's how you check it. So they shouldn't confuse. Sometimes they can start with x. If they start with x, it's easier, because if they just say from the negative side, you just put negative. From the positive side, it's positive. But if they start with a constant, then a number, and then a variable, it can be tricky. So that's why I'm saying don't cram, just try to understand it. Okay, let's do this question. So we can see with this question, if it's approaching from the negative side, which means our x minus 3 will be negative, because if you substitute any number less than 3, like 2, I'll have 2 minus 3 is negative. So which means I'm going to replace that with negative. But negative is for the whole thing, not for x, for the whole thing inside an absolute bracket. Then now our next step is to do what is to because now we can see if I substitute 3 at the bottom, I have 0. At the top, I also have 0. So the next thing is to simplify. So if I simplify, the top one is difference of 2 squares. The bottom one is like this. So what am I left with? I'm left with this cancelled. So I'm left with negative x plus 3. So now substitute 3. You can see I'm left with negative 3 plus 3, which is negative 6. That's your answer, just like that. This is from the June 2020 final paper. So let's do another one. This time your absolute is only on your x. So what does it mean? It means this x, because they said approaching negative, it will be negative x. Because anything, I mean, approaching 0 from the negative side, we know from the negative side of 0 it's negative x, from the positive it's positive x. So this is the only difference you have here. You're going to replace the absolute x with negative x, which will give us this. I will have 2 over x plus 2 over x, because that negative and this negative will make it positive. So if I add the 2, because we can't substitute 0 yet. If I substitute 0 here, I'll have 2 over 0 plus 2 over 0. So we can try to maybe simplify it. So if I simplify it, I'll have 2x plus 2x. If I cross multiply, I'll have this over x squared. Then if you further simplify, I'll have 4x over x squared. Then I hope you notice from here we have only 4 over x. Now if I substitute 0, 4 over 0 is undefined, but in limits undefined is called infinite. 4 over 0 is infinity. It's not just undefined, it's infinite. Okay, so let's move. Okay, here's another one. This is the last one. So if you can see, this time we have x approaching 2 from the positive side, so which means this absolute value of x will be equals to positive x, because it's approaching from the positive side of negative 2. So now that's the only difference we're going to make. You'll substitute. Okay, this is negative 2, so you'll substitute x and the absolute value of x with positive x. Then now you can see we have difference of 2 squares. We have x minus 2 at the top. At the bottom we have x minus 2. So you can see our answer will only be x plus 2. So now substitute 2, you have 4. That's your limit, just like that. Okay, yeah guys, I'm done. So this one, I'm glad it was very short. I'll see you next time when we do another video. Okay, goodbye.